All right, I think we are recording.
Yep.
Okay, I better give an intro here. I think everybody will know you, they just won't know me. Uh,
Yeah.
so everybody knows me as Big Lair. I've got a channel. It used to be called Jack's Private Coffee Corner, and then someone said, "Hey, you talk about cryptos and woo-woo, you should separate those channels or separate into two." So I made crypto coaching and training and then intuition development. And the crypto coaching and training one, I realized several years ago that a lot of people, were getting into cryptos and they were losing their cryptos for various reasons. They didn't know how to, get a software wallet and work with exchanges, and they were being scammed out of their coins, by people on Telegram and stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I'll start that just to help people with the nuts and bolts of cryptos. And then the intuition development, that just came about because I thought, hey, I remember when I was a kid, there were really good psychics, and there doesn't seem to be anybody these days who's willing to help people out. Now, I've seen videos with you and your woo-woo dude, and he seems like one of these, what I would call an old style psychic, and he's able to help people. But until I saw him, I didn't know anybody. So I thought, well, I'll just start this thing, and I'm going to make videos with exercises teaching people how to develop their, abilities. And, maybe you're wondering like, wow, what made you think you could do that? Uh, about 20 years ago, I got into, well, I was noticing chemtrails. I was living in Japan here. I was just newly married. I was noticing chemtrails. And there was a guy, I don't want to say his name because he was kind of a jerk, but he was kind of leading the chemtrail movement in, Oregon, and making these Oregon devices and stuff. And through him, I met a psychic in California, and this guy was very famous. I won't say his name either, but he was on the Oprah Winfrey show several times. He had written tons of books and, successful guy. But he started talking about what these elites were doing. And they just crushed the guy. They like just ruined his life. And it turns out to where he got so hard up for money, he says, I need to sell my library of books. Are you interested? So I made an offer, and he said, well, for that amount, I'll give you half of my books. So he literally shipped 4 boxes of books to me from, California to Japan. And then he gave me instructions, read these books first, then read these books, and then you'll have an understanding of whatever. So I've had these books for, like almost 20 years now. And I just thought, okay, I'll start taking this information that he gave me, and I'll try to make lessons to teach people. And that's kind of how it started.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So where are you at these days?
Where am I at as in?
Like I guess psychically or spiritually or whatever yourself.
Okay. Uh, where am I at? That's a good question. I like that you said spiritually, because I always tell people I'm not religious, but I'm highly spiritual.
Yeah.
Uh, Psychically, that's been really interesting. I had a big breakthrough several weeks ago. I made a video about it. Uh, I've always been okay at doing astral travel. And I came to the realization the last year that we're experiencing these multiple realities that are occurring simultaneously, because I'm going to bed at night and I'm waking up and I'm in this other reality, and I look around and go, huh, okay, well, in the daytime, I'm Larry in Japan with a family, and now I'm in this reality. Okay, cool. And then I would just live out the day there and then go to sleep, and guess what? I wake up and I'm back here. And I had, a number of lives where this was occurring. And I had met a psychic years ago in Wisconsin, and this guy was really, really, accurate. And he, one day after I had known him about a year, he said, hey, I'm going to tell you this story, but don't tell anybody. And he said, when I go to bed, I actually go to these other realities. I've written a book about it, and I'm living like 8 different lives that I know of. It's like, wow, cool. I could have never imagined that. But then I was talking with a close relative of mine several months ago, and I was telling him this story, and the person said, well, yeah, I've got these other 2 realities that I always go to. And the person told me about those realities, how they were, similar to where we are now and different and whatnot. So I thought, holy crap, maybe this runs in my family, or for whatever reason, myself and this person are tapping into it. So, uh, and I was able to fine tune in so much. I wrote this book. I called it Poems for a Dark, Eerie Night. Just a tiny, 26-page thing on Amazon that I put up. If anyone's got, what do they call it? Amazon Prime or whatever, you can read the ebook for free. And this reality that I was going to, it has like these, man, even though I've written this thing, it's really hard to put it into words. It's these individuals, and I call them, these fifth dimension individuals. Someone might nitpick with me and say, no, they're fourth dimension or whatever. But it's these individuals that are like fighting evil, so to speak, but like they're kind of scary individuals, like there's one character who he has a gun and he just thinks about his gun and the bullets shoot out and just hit whoever. And there's another character that I met. He's got these like 9 fairies locked in the closet in his kitchen. And then whenever stuff goes wrong, he just lets them out and they like just, go to town on, whoever or whatever. And so I was going to this reality thing, and this is the wildest place. And then what really got me, and this took me a long time, it took me a long time to write this because, when you're visiting a different reality, you can say, oh, guess what? My aunt Helen isn't my Aunt Helen. She's actually friends with my mom, or I mean, there's little things like that you remember. But if someone said, hey, what conversation did you have with that, your neighbor in that other reality, you'd be like, oh, I couldn't tell you word for word. But these individuals in this reality, they speak in rhymes. Everything they say is like this long rhyme, like they speak in poems. And so that was kind of wild to get over, just to wrap my head around, like, how are you guys saying everything to me and it rhymes just perfectly? And, and then I was invited to this party. They have this annual meeting where all of these like kind of scary individuals get together and talk about like, whose ass did we kick this year, and and me being there and seeing this whole thing and just feeling like, oh my God, this is the wildest thing ever. And the one guy said to me, there's one guy, call him the MC. He sort of leads me through the crowd, so to speak. And he said to me, now, I'll help you. If you meditate, I'll help you write this down so people can hear the story. And that's what I did, but it took me forever to do it, just forever. So that's where I am, spiritually. I don't know if that comes off spiritually or not, being able to go to these realities and then remember it. But a couple of weeks ago, let me just go backwards here a second. I try to meditate every night before I go to bed. And my spirit guides came to me and said, hey, we'd like you to help us with something. It's regarding this person that you knew when you were like 17, this girl I had dated. And her life took some really bad turns after, she and I had dated. And they said, could you help us with her? And I said, yeah, okay. So I'm like, boom, I'm back. So I'm 52 now. So what is that? 35 years ago. I'm back, Joe. I'm back to the Larry who was 17 years old with the knowledge I have at 52. And they said, we want you to help this person because they made bad choices and they had a certain path. We're giving this person a second choice. Okay. And basically what it was, just imagine, if you had dated someone when you were younger and all the time you had spent with that person, like just think about, okay, here's our first date. Then we met 6 days later. And then, it turned into like a 1 year, 1.5 year relationship. So I was sent back in time and I only experienced the time that I had been with her. Now I was aware that, oh yeah, there's my parents, there's my brother, and the peripheral things I was aware of, but my job was to just, like, I would spend time like, boom, we had the first date, and then zoop, Now I'm at the second time that I saw her, and it just went through like that. And it was the strangest thing. The whole time I kept thinking, is this real? Am I really here? And of course, 35 years ago, things were different. There's no computers and, the whole, just everything, right? So it gets to the point where I'm trying to get this girl to make better decisions. And she doesn't want to do it. So I said to her, and she doesn't believe me, number one. She doesn't believe me. And I remember when I was 17, she and I took a walk in this one place, this one forest, like a pretty big park, state park. And I remember walking with her and stopping when I was 17, thinking, God, I felt like I've had this conversation before. I remember that. It was real weird because I just had met the girl, a few weeks prior. And then here I was back at that point going, oh, this is why I felt that way, because I came back to help her out. So she wasn't believing me and didn't want to make these better choices. She was with the wrong crowd. And I said to her, you told me two things when we were dating that you never told anyone else. I'm going to tell you those two things now to prove that, I'm from the future and I'm helping you out. And I told her these two things and she just like broke down bawling and said, nobody knows that. There's no way you could know that. And I said, I'm telling you, I was, asked to come back to help you make better choices. So, and then I did show off one time for her. That's right. Because I can speak Japanese now. And of course, there's no way a 17-year-old kid from Wisconsin who had never been anywhere could speak Japanese, but she and I are somewhere and we see these exchange students. And I said to her, watch this. And I walked up and I had a conversation with them. And this girl's jaw just dropped like, oh my God, I think you really are from the future. So anyway, long story short, I get her on a better path. She doesn't become a meth addict. And she was a good swimmer. She gets a scholarship. She goes to college. And yeah, where I left off, she's starting her career. And when I was brought back, so I was brought back to, my bed, like no time had passed. And then I made a video about it just to, kind of make a video diary of it to get some kind of evidence, so to speak, so I could, I wouldn't forget the whole thing. And some of the people that I know in my group, in my Patreon group, they were saying, well, you should go back or try to find out how she's doing now. And I said, well, yeah, when I move back to the States, I'll do that. And so that night I thought, okay, I'll just see if I can go back. So now I'm here in Japan, I'm laying in bed, my wife's next to me, and I'm trying to get into that same meditative state. And I'm able to go back and see her. And the next thing I know, I'm laying in my bed here in Japan, at 52 years old, and the girl appears in my bedroom here in Japan. She looks shocked, she's looking down at like me and my wife next to me. I mean, my wife didn't see her. My wife was sleeping. I haven't told my wife this. And I jumped I was like, oh my God, like I literally sprung out of bed thinking, Jesus, did I just make someone teleport, 35 years into the future from a different country? And then boom, she disappeared. And my wife kind of, tossed and turned a little bit. And I was like, holy crap, what just happened there? So that's sort of my latest adventure, Joe.
Wow. So when you go into your sleep, you control what's going on. You don't just go for the ride like most people in their dreams.
It depends, there are times when I do, for me, meditation, I didn't really get good at meditation until about 10 years ago. And I'd always had trouble with it. I thought you had to sit up to do it, and there were all these rules and whatnot. And I moved to Malaysia about, 10 years ago. And I remember thinking, yeah, I should meditate more. And I just laid on the edge of my bed one day. Not the normal way that you would lay. I laid, perpendicular. And bam, I was in a meditative state so fast. I was laying on my back, and it was just like I got sucked into this river, and then about 30 minutes later, boom, I popped back out. It's like, oh my God, that was beautiful. And that's how I've done it ever since. I lay down. I sometimes put my arms up over my head, which feels really good to stretch. Uh, but that was the key for me. The key for me was, getting the meditation down. And once I got that down, then it became not so tough to control what's happening. Sometimes if I'm real tired, I'll just say, okay, whatever, I'll ask the universe, whatever you want to show me, whatever I need to know, just do that for me. I'm fine. And then other times, I don't know why, I'll wake up and I'll say, oh, Jesus, I'm in this reality. There's one reality where I work with organized crime. I'm this guy who gives advice to like mobsters and unsavory characters. And there are times when I'm actually speaking and I think, holy shit, I can't believe I just said that to these people. So I have like a different character even.
Wow. And that's all when you sleep and basically go into dreamland.
Exactly. It all connects when I go to sleep.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, well, like I've been working with this guy Richard, the shaman guy, woo dude as I call him, and he had me listening to some shamanic drumming type sounds, music at night, and I started having dreams pretty much right away. And I'm remembering these dreams, and they're very relevant to me. It's not just some crazy fantasy dream; like they have serious meaning to me
Cool.
and understanding. And he's like, "Okay, now you've been listening to that song tone or whatever for a week. Find another one you like. Okay, found another one. Listen to that one for a week, and then I'm like, okay." So I find other ones. He's like, "Yeah, anything that you'd like to listen to, go for it." So lately, I've been listening to ohms. Where they do the ohm,
Oh, sure.
and there's several different types of ways they do it and stuff. So I found some of those online. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna listen to that, and of course, I'm still having dreams and that kind of thing. And I sometimes can feel myself kind of going into that like theta state of mind where I'm like, you're half here, you're half not there, and it's usually for me like because I have a young son, he's 7 months old now, and so he still wakes up early sometimes, and I have first shift, so to speak, so I feed him and then I go back to bed, and then usually my wife wakes up around 7 something when he wakes up again, and then she's changing his clothes to get him in his day clothes and all that stuff, new diaper. It wakes me up, the little noise she's making, messing with him. And then she's out of the room. She takes him downstairs. So it's like our routine. So I wake up again and I'm like, okay, now I can really go back to bed, because now I'm up here by myself.
Sure.
And that's usually for me, almost all the time when I have these dreams with spirits showing me things. It's then because I'm like, I woke up, I wasn't ready to wake up. I'm like half dead. You're like, oh, I want to go back to bed. And like, that with your eyes just like, oh, I got to go back to bed. And then I go back to bed quickly and then boom. And I had a couple of dreams now where I think they showed me the price of crypto. I asked about Digibyte. Although I didn't ask for the price, because I'm like, well, I don't want to ask for the price. I want to make it look like I'm trying to enrich myself, but I will share this with my Patreon members, because I want these people to win. I want all of us to win.
Yeah.
And I just said, show me like a green line if it's going to go up tomorrow, or maybe a red line if its market's going to be down tomorrow for Digibyte. And they showed me a 27, and I knew in the dream, oh, this is Digibyte. And I woke up going, oh my God, they gave me a number 27. Well, can't be 27 cents. The thing's only, 2.2 cents right now.
Yeah.
But I thought, well, maybe 2.7. And sure enough, it went up to 2.7.
Wow.
And I'm like, whoa, I've never had that happen. So then later I would ask every night, but I always ask that first just to say, hey, you gave it to me, and I'm just going to ask in case you feel it's right to give it to me again. But if there's anything more important, obviously give me that. I want, you're working with me. You're the boss. Like, give me whatever I need. But I will ask for that just in case, just because this is really interesting. And then I got several days went by, nothing with number related, but I was still having dreams. And then, boom, I'd already sold some Digibyte, all of my Digibyte, in preparation for the market to come back down, get back in lower, and do it all over again when it goes higher. So I was out of the market completely on Digibyte. And I have this dream. They show me a 67. And I'm
Wow.
going, oh my God, does that mean 6.7 cents is coming? That's a big move from where it's at. It's like a 3x move roughly from that price where it was at.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, maybe. So that was the latest dream. It hasn't happened yet. But I thought, wow. And in the dream, I remember seeing this massive spike of a candle. I was just like looking up at the screen like this. I'm like, oh my God, I got to zoom out. I can't see the top. Still can't see it. Zoom out again. Still can't see it. I had to zoom out 3 times to see these candles. I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's just like, I felt like I was standing there staring up, like this has never happened before. This is too big of a move to happen that fast. But I was like, whoa. And then I get sick to my stomach in the dream and I go, yeah, and you don't have any. So you didn't capitalize on that. I wake up right away, sick to my stomach, feeling that it came through the dream, because it just happened. So I wake up.
Wow.
Oh my God, I'm out of the market. I'm really out of the market. I got to get in right now and just at least get some. And I bought some right away. And then I said, well, let me stack some orders a little lower just to be safe, see if it'll come back down. And those lower orders, man, they got close to filling, but it didn't go low enough. And I missed the 2 orders. But at least I had a decent one the first go. So
Sure.
I'm like, okay, I'm back in the market. But the funny thing was when I went to bed that night, I said, if you're going to work with me in my dreams, like just going forward so I can remember them, please, like in the morning when I'm about to wake up, like for the day, give me the dream right before that. That's when I will typically remember it because I just happened to have it and I wake up and I'm still remembering it. So that exactly what I asked happened that night. They gave me the 67. I felt sick to my stomach. They showed me all that stuff. And I just woke up. It was like 9 o'clock in the morning. Oh my God. And I felt sick. I was like, I opened my laptop. I was like almost in a panic. Like, oh my God, what's the price at today? Please don't show me it skyrocketed. It didn't. I'm like, okay, time to get in. So anyways, we've been getting that 27. I mean, it's already been 2.7, 2.8 and a half last night. But if 6.7 is coming, I'm telling myself, oh my God, that would be 2 times in a row. When they gave me a number and I asked for Digibyte, they gave me the actual price it went to. So this is an experiment right now for me. But first one so far, so good. The second one, we're going to find out. And if it does spike that high, I'm telling myself, oh my God, that means these guides that are talking to me in my dreams, they really do want us, and I don't say me, us, all of us in crypto to win.
Yeah.
And maybe they do see some things coming that are going to be a little rough. And they're understanding, normally we don't win rich people, but some pretty tough, heavy stuff's coming. These people, there's a lot of good people out there that need to be able to weather this. So we're going to give them some extra money right now. Maybe that's what this is about. I don't care one way or the other. I'm just honored and grateful that this is happening to me.
Sure.
And not even so much the Digibyte stuff, just everything that they're doing with me right now in my dreams specifically. I'm very grateful for. I'm always telling them. Sometimes I speak out loud. Sometimes I'd say it in my mind. I know they can hear either way.
Yeah.
Because I'm a pretty humble guy and I appreciate what's happening and I believe in this stuff because stuff has happened to me. So this guy Richard I talk about, Woo Woo Dude, he got a download. Oh, you got to contact this guy Joe. You've been following on YouTube for a long time. It's time to reach out to him and start working with him because you need to open him up quick. He goes, all right. He probably gets a million emails. I don't know if he's ever going to see mine. They go, he'll see your email. Send it to him. So it came through and I saw it. Yep. Okay. Let me reach out to this guy. And then that was like 3-4 months ago now. And he's been telling me stuff, of course, that he's been getting downloads and this is going to happen. And wait till the price of silver hits 20 and gold hits 2,000. You're going to see stuff start really unfolding. Of course, as soon as that happens, we have this massive explosion in Beirut, Lebanon.
Yeah.
We've got 5 or 6 different fires across the world, big fires in very interesting warehousing districts, Saudi Arabia, Iraq. What was the other one? This other fire, Iraq, Saudi Arabia. There's somewhere else. We had the fire on the ship not too long ago in the port of California. And then we had the next day, 7 fires in Iranian vessels. Like something,
right.
Stuff is happening. So, he's telling me, Joe, my guides want you to pay your house off, man. Like they're going to help you do it. It's going to be with crypto. They're going to take care of you. And I'm like, well, okay, all right, I'm cool with that, of course. So he was saying, okay, I think, data is, or this one's going to do that. You got one that's going to go up at the end of the month. I don't know what it is, but they're telling me you have it. So get ready to take profit on that. Don't be scared to take profit. Well, it was theta, went crazy high from where it was. I was down like 20 cents. It runs up to like 58 cents.
That's right. Yeah.
And he goes, remember, take profit. Well, I didn't take profit because I'm thinking, well, maybe it's going to go a lot higher. It didn't. Came back down to the 20s. Now it's 32 cents. But, again, he goes the next day, he goes, my guides were, I'm arguing with them that you took the profit. And they said no. And I said, yeah, no, he's going to listen. He took the profit. He said he was going to take it. Joe, did you take the profit? I said, no, the guides are right. They're always right. Yeah, I that. I didn't take the profit. He goes, son of a bitch. He goes, yeah, they are right. But, anyways, just an interesting thing that's happened in my life. And like, I'm learning that I also have spirit animals that I guess walk with you, if you will. You can't see them per se, but
Yeah.
sometimes you will start to see that type of animal in real life. Hey, I keep seeing this hawk flying around me all the time, or whatever. And I've learned I've got a bear spirit, a wolf spirit, and a hawk spirit. And again, I'm asking for dreams at night, and they said they sent me this dream just a couple nights ago of this cute little bear, a sweet little bear, like a little, not really, I mean, it's a cub, I guess, but it was probably a 40, 50 maybe pound bear.
Sure.
You could pick it up, but it was still small, but not like real small. And it was like a brown bear, and I just knew it was a female somehow in the dream. I don't know how. And it had like this really nice golden reddish color fur when she would either like move a certain way, or fur would kind of move, and I'd pet her and I'd rub it this way, and then it'd have the color, and I'd rub it back, and it'd go the other color, like brown. Beautiful, friendliest little bear ever. So sweet. Like I swore, if this was real life, I want this bear as a pet. I don't care how big it gets. Like, I'll keep it. It was that kind of thing. I was like, wow. And then this wolf comes in, and it's very friendly also. And it was just really interesting, dreaming about some of these things. So he was telling me, Richard's like, yeah, he goes, Joe, I know I keep telling you there's going to be a time when you dream, and he goes, remember, reach into your right front pocket, pull out that lighter and light it. When you make the conscious decision in your dream to do that, that's when you're going to go next level, where you can kind of take control of what you do, where you go, and whatever happens in your dreams. And he goes, you can go anywhere and see anything. I'm like, oh, cool. So I've been telling myself at night, as I listen to some of this music I was telling you about, this chanting and all that stuff, I want to try to grab that lighter. Let me light the lighter. But as I say that, I already know it'll happen when the spirit guys, the ones working with me, realize, okay, he's ready now. Now let's allow him to go to that level now.
Exactly.
Almost like they're the gatekeepers, even though I control myself. Well, not quite. They're the gatekeepers of certain stuff. So he was just telling me yesterday, he goes, Joe, you had these dreams with these animals. Those are your animal spirits. They let you know that night. Yep. He goes, okay, that tells me, he goes, I don't know how soon, but you're definitely progressing. And I'm telling you, soon you're going to be able to pull that damn lighter out of your pocket and just light it. He said, that's all. It's just an exercise. Pull it out of your pocket and light it. You're going to make it manifest in your dream. That's why it's going to be in your pocket, because I'm telling you to do it. It's now in your brain that I've told you this. You don't even have to keep repeating it. It'll just happen when it's supposed to happen. So I'm like, well, okay, but I still ask every night just to put it out there. My intention. I want to light this damn lighter so I can like go next level, if you will. So that hasn't happened yet. But again, I just know they want me to do these certain steps, and then, okay, we'll let them experience that next. And okay, he was showing me about mirror scrying early on. And
now, what is that? I've heard of that, years and years, and some of these old books I have from that psychic, they talk about it, but I've never actually known what it is.
Yeah, I kind of heard similar, barely. Oh, scrying, I heard about. Oh, that's it. Okay, it never looked into it, but he goes, yeah, he goes, just about anybody can do this. So he goes, so like low lesson for you, one of your first lessons, get a mirror and do this, and get 2 candles and put on the side. And he gave me a script to kind of read, talking to my guides, asking for certain protection and a way to do it properly. Because you're basically opening a portal, and you want protection because you don't want certain things coming through that portal. And he'd mentioned, once you start that process, before you do that, put your mirror ready to go. You're sitting down. Okay, this is where I'm going to sit, so that when you start that process and you open that portal, you don't ever touch that mirror.
I was just going to say, I'm guessing you can't touch the mirror. So, yeah. Okay, good.
Not until you close the portal. He gave me a thing to say at the end when you're done, close the portal properly. And I'd ask him, he goes, I'm like, can I share this with my Patreons? He goes, I think in the future, yeah, but not right now. He goes, because if they don't do this right and they
Yeah,
got some shit in their house now
that's
and
right.
you did it, oh, Joe told me to do this, Joe, not, he says, I think you'll be able to, but not right now. Like, not now. I said, okay, all right, fair enough. I thought I'd ask because I know they would want to know. So I do this, and he goes, all right, what you're going to ask is I'd like to see my past lives.
Oh, sure.
So I'm like, oh, okay. So I say it, and he goes, by the way, um, it can be scary at first when you start to see your face change into somebody else's. It's a little bit scary, a little startling. So just be prepared that you might freak out. I'm like, I'm not gonna freak out. I love this stuff. I want to do it. So I'm like, he goes, when you go to do this, tell me, just so I just know you're doing it. And then after you're done, that way I don't go to bed. He goes, call me or text me when you're done. It's like, okay. So I'm like, all right. And then we were talking. I'm like, oh, well, in a few more minutes, it's 11:11 at night. That's a good time, good number. So I'll just start it then. And by the way, it doesn't matter the timing. I've done it several times now at different times. It doesn't matter. So it's in my dark closet. I have these two candles up, and I just went to the bathroom real quick to come in here at the time. And I'm like, while I was just going to the bathroom, I was like, I really want this to work, but it's probably not going to work. Like, this is for other people who are maybe more advanced or something. Like, I can't, this isn't going to work. But don't psych yourself out. Just give it your best. Do everything he tells you to do. Maybe it'll work. I'm like, yeah, all right, all right. So I come in here. All right, let me do this. I say what he says to say, and I do, okay, open the portal. And I ask, can I see my past lives? And he had told me, Joe, I know one of your past lives is an Indian woman. I think she's Seminole Indian. He goes, maybe you'll see her. And I thought, okay. And I thought, well, I'll just flat out ask, if I don't see her, may I see her? So I do it, and within, I'm going to say maybe 10 seconds, I don't know, my face starts changing, and it freaked me out. He was right. It freaked me out. And I'm like, okay. Because as you're looking, you're kind of like looking in this area of your face in the mirror.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes I like, the first time I think I was looking more at my nose here, but then after that, different times I was like, would find this is maybe even a little better spot. And you're kind of going out of focus,
Oh,
and you'll
sure.
kind of see it go out of focus. And that's when it comes in. So you really want to focus back on it, because you're like, ooh, what's that? And then you focus, and then it blurs it, and it's back out again. It's like, crap, I missed it. Okay, let me try it again. So it's like a sweet spot of slight blurriness, but not too crazy, and a little bit of focus, and then you'll be able to see it. But it's almost like a peripheral, because it's so a little bit blurry, but you can see plenty.
Sure.
And so I'm like, okay, it did scare me. I'm like, holy crap, it did scare me. I was like, no, I'll be ready for this. It actually scared me a little bit. I'm like, no, this is too fascinating. I got to go back in. He said this would happen. It's okay. So I go back in. I'm okay. I focus again, or unfocus, if you will. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's a different face. Okay, thank you. I remember seeing this one guy that just had this super thick, bushy beard, mustache. I mean, just like thick, like, whoa. And me, I can grow a mustache, but my beard, like if I try to grow a beard, it'd be like little splotches and missing, like you mowed the yard in a spot. Like, I can't grow a beard. And I'm seeing this guy with like, I mean, it was almost like plush carpet on his face. Like, what is this? And he had this kind of a smile just staring back at me. Had a nice head of hair, was a little bit curly. And, kind of a big, strong, burly kind of a guy looking, but just staring back at me. I'm like, whoa, okay, thank you. And I'm always, thank you for letting me see that. Thank you very much. You always got to give thanks.
Sure.
And next one comes in. Oh wow, okay, thank you. And then I'm like, I think I might have had a female past life that was an Indian. May I see her? And I go back and do the thing. And I'm just saying this right in front of the mirror. I'm not like getting up and going somewhere. I'm just sitting here. I unfocus, back to normal. Okay, look in the mirror, and I say, may I see the female? And then I do the unfocusing thing, the blurriness, whatever. And then she didn't come in. Like, okay, there's that one guy. I already saw him. Okay. Oh, here's another one that looks like a Native American guy. Actually, looks like maybe he has a tattoo or some kind of dark lines on his face, maybe from pain or something. Okay. And then the third one came in. Okay, yeah. And then boom, there's the girl. Female, obvious face, hair. Oh my God, that's her.
Wow.
Oh wow, how cool. I'm like, wow, I saw her. So I'm like, wow. So I I think at one point, the final one I saw, I think it was during that session, where like the under, like above here looked human, but from right here below my mouth was complete fish gill type of thing with these little like slits like a fish gill. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, oh, thank God they saved that for last, because if I saw that first, no, I'm not doing it. Okay, you're right, we would do it. I'm scared. I don't want to do that again. What the hell was that, dude? So it came in last, almost like it knew. Oh, I'll save the best for last, like so he can handle it. So I was like, wow, how cool. So then Richard was telling me, oh, you can really see all kinds of things in the mirror. And I start thinking to myself, oh, I wonder if I could see the price of crypto. Oh, I wonder if I could ask about the price. And then I'm thinking this while talking to him on the phone. He goes, oh, and by the way, like, you should be in there like asking for crypto prices. I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, dude, I just had the thought, man. You just read my mind. He goes, yeah, it's not, we're not supposed to do that. And I thought, yeah, okay. But again, they shared prices with me, and he already told me that they're working with you. They're going to help you pay your house off. They want it to get paid off. You got things to do in the future that you don't know. You're going to be important on the spiritual side of things in the future, and they need you
Wow,
to
nice.
wither the storm that's coming. And it's going to be a bad storm in many different ways, so to speak, politically, physically, on the planet. Earth changes, a lot of bad stuff. He said they want you to get through this. And I thought, okay, cool. But I'm like, well, he goes, yeah, you can see Sasquatch, Bigfoot. And I'm like, for real? He goes, oh yeah. I'm like, that sounds cool. I'm going to try that tonight, man. He goes, okay. So I do the process again, except I don't ask to see my past lives. I'm like, may I please see Sasquatch? And we call it Bigfoot. As soon as I see it, boom, right in my face, whoa, like it was waiting to come in. Boom, here I am. I was like, wow, whoa, yeah, okay. I can see this hairy, it doesn't look like a monkey, but it doesn't look quite human either. It's just a Bigfoot.
Sure.
I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I'm like looking at it, it's just staring right back at me. Like when you stare at it, they're not gonna like move or like smile, because it's like they just know we're just gonna give you a still face so that we don't scare anybody. Like this is what we look like, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's just staring at me, and I didn't get it again. Never had any negative feelings. It's like, whoa, this is cool. So I just say to it, I go to New Mexico a lot, at least a few times a year, 2, 3 times a year, up in the mountains, away from everybody, with a couple of my buddies. With your permission, like we'd be honored. I would be honored, and one of my friends would be too, to see you in person. If you would be willing to do that, we would be honored by that. And of course, you're safe. We would never harm you or try to hurt, with a gun or something, like.
Sure.
So I said that in the mirror to this thing, and okay, end of the session. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to. Okay, that was cool. End of the session. It was a short session. I go to bed that night. Again, probably listening to the drumming stuff that I was listening to at the time, shamanic drumming sounds. I have a dream. I'm in the woods somewhere, and I remember seeing the Christmas tree type of pine trees and
Okay.
snow on the ground. And typically where I'm at in New Mexico, there's not snow on the ground, even in those mountains, because it's lower New Mexico. But I'm in the mountain somewhere, or in the woods, if you will. I did feel like it was a mountainy area. I see the pines. I smell them. It's Christmas tree type pine trees. It's snow on the ground. It wasn't snowing, but there was snow on the ground, a decent amount. And then I'm out there with a family of Bigfoot in this
Wow.
dream. And the father, like they were there, and there's this little, as in big little foot girl. She was been a young teenager kid, basically, if even a teenager, maybe 10, 11, 12. I don't know, but big compared to me, but still small compared to mom and dad. And she's like running around. I'm kind of chasing, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna stop and hide behind this tree. And she runs around this tree, and I grab it. And I'm like, make a snowball real quick. I'm like, yeah, come around that corner. I'm gonna hit her, and I throw it at her and hits her right in the side of the face. I didn't hit her, I didn't throw it hard, but, and I'm expecting her to, like pick one up and throw it back at me because we're playing. But the response was that it was almost as if it fell out of a tree and hit her, like it was natural. She didn't think nothing of it, didn't even look at me weird, just kept running along like nothing happened. And I'm like, oh wow, she didn't even get it,
That's
like at
interesting.
all. Oh wow. So I'm like, well, they didn't get the humor part of this. So I hope, I hope they didn't think I was like doing something mean. And I'm like, no, they didn't even get that. They didn't even understand it in a way like, hey, don't do that to my daughter. It wasn't even that. Like it was literally, they didn't know what I was doing. Just, okay, that's fine. Just, that's how this guy's communicating with us. Like it was almost like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, whoa. So they came to my dream. I asked, can I see you? Maybe in New Mexico. I'm like, well, I live in Florida, but I got people around me here. You could show me yourself here if you'd like to, but maybe New Mexico might be more, you know, legitimate spot. You know, there's nobody out there where we go.
Yeah.
Um, and then they're like, basically, well, how about we come in your dream tonight? You know, was basically what happened. And then sure as shit, you know, there they are. And it was a
Wow.
very peaceful, friendly encounter. And I was like, woke up going, was that just a dream? There's no way. So I went back in the mirror again another time. I'm like, I know there's civilizations that dwelled on this mountain that we go treasure hunting on. And I just know from God knows how long ago, thousands of years, different civilizations hiding stuff in the mountain, dwelling on the mountain, doing stuff on the mountain. So I said in the mirror again, I'd like to see past civilizations that were active on this mountain that I go to in New Mexico. And could you show them to me in order of the most recent to the oldest?
Cool.
And they gave it to me. And as soon as I saw the most recent, it was like Indian type looking people. Okay, yeah, that makes sense because they did dwell there even for the last 1,000 years or so. Okay, that made sense. And then, okay, there's another person. Okay. And then by the time they got to the very last one, and only saw a few of them, it was just 4 or 5. The last one was seriously like monkey, ape kind of face.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, really? Like, whatever that is dwelled on, or it was humanoid. And again, I only see faces, so I couldn't tell you how it
Sure.
walked or hunched, just faces only. And I'm like, whoa, that was the oldest. I don't know how old it was. I just know, I just said, give me the oldest last. And the last one was like, okay, that's weird. And as I was doing that, Bigfoot pops in too. And in some of these other sessions, Bigfoot pops in. Ever since I asked, he shows up. And he's like, I get the sense that he's so, I don't know how to say this. He's so excited, happy, if you will, that I reached out in the
Sure.
way that I did, respectful, honored, like, hey, I'm a different civilization. You're an ET, and I'm an ET to you. Like, and we're reaching out for the first time, you and I, like, it was honored to be a part of it. So it's like, oh, hey, that guy Joe's doing the mirror thing. I know he's not asking for us, but I gotta go see him. He just comes right in. So it's like I'm looking at that face. Oh, there's Bigfoot. Bigfoot, what are you doing here? You know, next one. He's some. So I'm like, because I started questioning, like, well, maybe I just keep seeing the same faces again. And I'm like, well, no. When you asked for your past lives, remember that the fish face, the female, yeah, yeah. And then you asked the dwelling on the mountain. You saw, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, you're right. These are different faces.
Wow.
But
You might.
Bigfoot comes in whether I ask or not. He's just like, yeah, he's my friend now. I'll just come and say hi while he's doing this because it's the only opportunity that I can. You know, or of course he could come in the dream if he wanted, but that's my take. I can't prove that.
Sure.
So
You're
these are some
probably the
weird
only
things.
guy getting photobombed by Bigfoot.
In the mirror. I'm like, what the heck? Yeah. So, you know, Richard says, well, you can see all kinds of different things, not even just faces, other things. And I'm like, whoa. He goes, but he goes, you're going to start with faces. That's how everybody starts. As you unlock these abilities within yourselves and spirit works with you, you automatically start to be like, oh, I can now see this kind of a thing in the mirror. I used to see faces. Now I can see faces in this or whatever that is. And then, oh, now I can
Sure.
see this and this and this as you progress. So, like he said, pull the lighter out of your pocket. When you can do that, he goes, Joe, that's when things are going to get really, you're really going to go up a notch. Like when you can do that. He goes, the fact that you got those animal spirits coming in, get ready. Because he was telling me also a while back, he goes, you might wake up in the middle of the night one of these days. He says, I'm just going to prepare you now so you don't freak out. You're going to feel things crawling on you. Like, oh my God, is my cat or what is that? And you're going to be like, wake up and there's nothing there. But you know something was just walking on your body like a little animal. He goes, those are your animal spirits. And sometimes they'll wake you up. He goes, you will start experiencing that at some point. So I'm like, well, I'm glad you told me that because, man, that would scare the shit out of me. Like, I wouldn't have known it was an animal, but who's touching me? What is that? You know, he goes, yeah. He
Yeah.
goes, I
Yeah.
know. So I'm telling you. So he goes, it could happen. So just be prepared for that. I'm like, okay. So now that I got them coming into my dream, I'm asking myself, is the next thing going to be me feeling them like walking on me at night as I'm sleeping? And he says, it's possible, but soon I'm hoping he's thinking the lighter thing happens, and then you go like next level, like what you're talking
Awesome.
about, where you kind of control things and see things and do things in your dreams, that it's, you're not just dreaming along for the ride anymore. Like, oh, I'm going to consciously, you know what? Now I'm going to go, I'm going to go fly to that mountain now to go to New Mexico real quick in my dream and just check something real quick. Like, you can do that. I'm like, whoa, that
Sure.
sounds cool. So I can't do it yet, but anyways, that's kind of my story.
Wow. Yeah. Listening to your story, I could go off on about 50 tangents. Let's see. I'll just start from the last thing you said and go backwards if I can remember all of it. That was really interesting. You said about they could be walking on your bed, because for the last several months, uh, yeah, I felt like something is walking around my feet, like my ankles on the bed, enough to move the sheets, and I'll wake up. I've got like, once my first son was born, I used to sleep like a log. It could be an earthquake and a typhoon and the roof could fly off and I wouldn't wake up. But ever since my first son was born, if he rolls over, I wake up. So I'm a pretty light sleeper now. And I've noticed, I don't know, we'll say the last 6 months, it's almost like a cat or something is walking on the end of the bed, and it's like, what the hell? And
That's what he described. He said
oh,
like a
okay.
cat.
And I'll sit up and go, what the heck is that? And when I lived in Malaysia, I had, well, I wasn't connected so much with my spirit guides in Malaysia. It wasn't until about 2 years ago in Japan here when I came back that I started to make the connection and communicate with them better. But I knew we had some kind of thing living in our apartment. I just knew it. It was like a little, you might call it an elf or a gnome or something. And it was there. And I saw things out of the corner of my eye. And it didn't freak me out because I used to see ghosts and stuff when I was a kid. And so I'm kind of, desensitized to it a little bit. So I would just say, well, okay, you can be here. And I would say, well, we got this food here and that food here. And the cracker thing is going to be tough to open up. So if you want a cracker, put something on top of the cracker, the container, and I'll open it up for you the next day and I'll leave some out for you. So I was communicating with it, but there were times I'm sleeping in a room with a ceiling fan. I've got the ceiling fan on like, 10, the thing's almost like a plane propeller just to stay cool, but I could still hear something moving around in our living room and kitchen. And I would just get up at night. And at first I thought it was a burglar. So I hopped up and grabbed my knife and I thought, oh man, okay. If someone's here, I'm going to have to do this. And there'd be nothing there, nothing there. And then I realized, well, maybe it's just that elf or whatever, maybe he invited his friends over and said, hey, they got a pretty comfortable sofa. Come on over. They're sleeping now or something. And so I would just wake up and I would just out loud say, hey, you guys kind of keep it down, you're keeping me up. And that's just how I dealt with it. So that's interesting that, thinking about something on the bed. And the one thing I was going to ask you about, which you did talk about, is when do you get your best information? And you were saying you asked to be given it before you wake up. And for me, that's when I get the most useful kind of prophetic information. Like in 2010, so I was in Japan then. I mean, I've been in Japan for 16 plus years total. So in 2010, probably February, March, I don't remember exactly, just before I woke up, I would wake up in the morning, a voice said to me, you need to leave Japan by the end of the year. Very clear, woman's voice. And I have a spirit guide named Isabella, so I think it was Isabella. And like, that's weird. Next morning, right before I wake up, you need to leave Japan before the end of the year. This went on for like a month, Joe. And I finally told my wife, I said, wow, it's really weird. Every morning, just before I wake up, this voice, just as clear as day, telling me we have to leave Japan. And then it just got to be where it continued for like months. And then it became a sense of urgency in this woman's voice, like, you need to leave Japan by the end of the year, very forceful. So And I had had this once before. I was warned about a big earthquake, which didn't hit our area, but it hit north of us and it just devastated the place. So, and I was told to prepare with food and water, and it really helped us out. So I said to my wife, I think we need to listen to this. So, you know, we had 2 cars. I had a business with 3 locations, kids in school, just like a normal life. So I said to my wife, I think we need to leave Japan. I don't know where to go. I don't think America is the right place to go yet, but it'll all work out. So I slowly sold our business, broke it up into the 3 locations, sold it. And my wife, God bless her, she went along with it. She didn't think I was nuts or, trying to leave me or anything. And then I was offered a job in Malaysia, which is a place I would have never imagined going. And we sold everything and we left Japan on January 7th, 2011. And I just had faith that that was the right decision. So I'm in Malaysia doing my new job, and I get a call from a real estate agent that I had met there on March 11th, 2011. And she said, "Oh my God, Larry, did you hear what happened in Japan?" I said, "No, what?" And she said, "Oh, in Fukushima, was a earthquake and a tidal wave, and now the nuclear power plant, is having a meltdown. It's just this huge disaster." And as soon as she told me that, a voice said to me, "That's why we told you to leave Japan."
Mm.
And I was like, "Holy crap, I can't believe this." And I was a teacher for a number of years, and I also taught adults. And a lot of my adult students said to me, "Why are you leaving Japan? You got a good life and da 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 da." And I told them, I said, "I'm going to be honest with you. It's going to sound nuts, but some voice has been telling me I need to leave Japan." And after that happened, I got so many emails from these people saying, "Oh my God, you were right. God, someone was really watching out for you." So if I hear, information now, just before I wake up, man, I take it as the gospel. I'm not messing around. So that's interesting you said that. And then about the past lives, like I've had people do past life regressions for me, and I've seen past lives. But one thing I've been able to do, and I didn't realize what I was doing until I was almost 30. Uh, I don't know if this will happen with me looking at you now, but if I can sit down with someone and just talk and relax, I'll see their face change. And now I know I'm seeing past lives, but I never used to understand what it was. And the real, uh, the moment that I really understood what it was happening is I was in Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand, a number of years ago. It was right after the one coup. I don't remember the exact. I was in May, I think, of whatever year, 5, 6 years ago. And I was meeting this martial artist, this really famous martial artist, and which is a whole nother story in itself, the things that happened to me with that guy. But long story short, I'm with the guy, and he had like this supermodel girlfriend that he broke up with. Was a real idiot. So he asked me if I could help him get this girl back, which, the whole thing is just an odd story that, I'm in Thailand to meet a martial artist, and then he asked me a favor, "Hey, help me get my girlfriend back." So it all works out to where we're sitting at dinner. So this guy, me, and this woman, this French woman. And I forget what her name was, but it was like her name was Michelle, we'll say, for the sake of conversation. And I keep calling her Julianne. And the guy's like, "Her name's not Julianne, it's, Michelle." And it happens enough to where he gets pissed off at me and gives me a hard time. So I'm just thinking, I'm just going to shut up and just eat my food, you know? And so I'm sitting there looking at this woman, and I'm thinking, what did she ever see in this guy? He's an idiot. He's not that good looking. And she's, beautiful woman, da, 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 da. And then I saw her face change. And then I saw a whole movie about her life. It was just like I was shown this scene. She was a nurse during World War I, and she was in France, and she was, bandaging up soldiers and all that. And then I saw the scene where someone yelled out her name, like, "Hey, so-and-so, come over here. Hey, Julianne." And then I was like, "Oh, that's why I'm calling you the wrong name all this time, because for whatever reason, I knew your name in a past life." So then I I said to her, "Hey, I know why I'm calling you the wrong name." I told her what I saw, and she, like, lady broke down in tears, and she said, "You know, I've had dreams of that, of being a nurse during World War One. I
Mm.
never knew where it came from." And then, it must have been like a switch got flipped, because then, so we leave this dinner place and we send the lady off in a taxi, and then I go back to this guy's place because he was a real famous guy and had a big penthouse. So he and I are sitting there talking. It's late at night, and then I looked at him and I could see that he and I had a past life together. So, and it was just like, as I'm sitting here looking at you, it was like everything just faded away, and I'm there watching, like he had virtual reality goggles on, and I saw this scene of how I knew him, and we were like in this village, and we fought off these, I don't know what you'd call them, marauders or something, and we both died. We were the last two standing in this village, and we died looking at each other. We had like kind of fought to the end, kind of thing. And then I thought, oh my God, isn't that wild? This person that I just happened to meet through, a friend of my brother's, and hey, you should meet this martial arts guy.
Yeah.
And then I end up, having had a past life with the guy. So, so that's one thing I've been able to do, uh, and that's kind of fun for me. But I've
Yeah,
never,
that's
yeah,
interesting.
I've never done anything like you said, where I looked in the mirror and saw my own. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you what to say. I just don't want to make it public. Like if you want to try it yourself.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Like
and there was one
when we
thing.
stop recording, I'll tell you the proper thing to open it and the proper thing to close it that he told me.
Okay, yeah, there
Just
was some woo-woo thing I wanted to tell you too, but I realized that it's not something I can say while we're recording. So when we stop, remind me, and I'll just give you this tidbit, and then you just use it as you see fit. You may find it interesting.
okay. Well, maybe we should do it now because I got to get going here soon, anyways. So
Okay,
maybe
so
we'll
let's
end it and have a little chat.
sure, we'll stop this then, and then we'll talk about the good stuff. So I'm just going to stop recording for everybody who's watching this. Sorry, guys, you're going to lose out on some good information here, but probably in the future it'll get out
Yeah.
into the web. So